If you ask me, mining is a groundbreaking profession. Hey, shh. Welcome back to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we watch movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. With me, as always, is my co-host and my wife, Kelsey.
Be mine forever.
This week we had a happy fucking Valentine's Day with 2009's My Bloody Valentine. So what do you think the story was?
Well, you see,
Why are you...
You just sound a little nasally because you're a little sick.
So you're gonna make fun of me?
Just for that moment, I thought it was pretty funny. Anyways, it's a story about a killer from a mine on Valentine's Day.
And it's in 3D.
Ooh.
Some things list the title of this movie strictly as My Bloody Valentine 3D. But I made a note of everything that I particularly noticed that was in 3D. So I'm excited as we go through the movie to talk about it.
I think I made a few notes of the things that looked awful.
Well, first things first, the title card in 3D.
Yeah.
So, there is a mine collapse, and they are blaming it on the mine owner's son, Tom Hanager, who was down there for not bleeding the gas lines. But then they come to find out that even though the mine collapsed, within the mine, one of the miners, Harry Warden, just started killing everyone in there. And the first two characters that are killed on screen are named Jason and Michael, which is an homage to the characters from Friday the 13th and Halloween.
Oh, I like that.
Because the killers are also non-speaking, and throughout this movie,
this was like a knockoff version of those. You're right.
Yes. So anyway, Harry Warden is pulled out of the mine. He's in a coma, and he wakes up in the hospital.
First thing he does is murder people as soon as he wakes up.
But the thing is the whole town is arguing, like, oh, was it Harry Warden who killed all these people? Yeah, he must have. Like, they're not 100% sure, I guess. But why is he not in handcuffs?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's just free to wake up and kill everyone.
Yeah.
He's got like a signature kill where he removes the heart from people's chests and puts it into like a Valentine's Day candy box. So Harry Warden is now on the loose in the town. Tom is hanging out with his girlfriend and a bunch of kids, and they're hanging out at the mine for some reason.
On Valentine's Day.
And I questioned why Tom, like his girlfriend Sarah, Tom's girlfriend, is like, hey, are you okay with being here? And he's like, yeah, totally. But at the same time, like, why would you think that's okay? You're forcing him to hang out in the mine where he's the sole survivor of this mining accident, where everybody blames him for not bleeding the lines. And it's like, no, Sarah, obviously Tom is not okay with hanging here. No wonder he's acting very standoffish and
but
weird.
He loves you.
So they're hanging out here for some fucking reason, and
I actually made a note about that. I made a note about it seeming fucked up. They're having a Valentine's party at a mine where a bunch of people were murdered and there was only one survivor. Yeah, I forgot about that, me making a note.
It's super weird. So Harry Warden shows up and he starts killing the people there. There's a random teen whose eyeball is stabbed through the back of his skull in 3D.
Yeah.
Throughout the film...
Could you just continue to go in 3D
Yes,
time?
I am going.
All right, awesome.
That was the plan.
Just making sure.
Throughout the film, the villain, the killer, tilts his head to the right before or after killing a character, you know? Like, and that's a nod to Michael Myers. He does that.
He goes like this.
Yeah.
But here's his mouth.
The original My Bloody Valentine movie was released in 1981, the same year the sequel to the original Halloween was released. Anyway, Harry Warden is there. He's killing everyone. And Axel, who is like Sarah's friend, I guess. Axel also has a crush on Sarah, but Axel's dating a girl, Irene.
I didn't get the vibe that Axel had a crush on Sarah that whole time.
Well, because he makes a comment. He's, like, immediately shitty about Tom, like, oh, she's with her.
I just assumed he was being mean because everyone hated Tom from the mining accident.
I would argue that that's a very girl answer for you, because guys can clock when a guy...
I know, that's what I'm saying. I didn't realize it. I mean, you pointed it out. Sure, it makes sense.
Yeah, he's definitely wants Sarah, even though he's with Irene. Axel, Irene, Sarah, and Tom are the only survivors for the moment, and they're running out of the mine, and Tom is, like, trailing behind, and...
Slow.
Yes, I mean, this is a movie full of people tripping. The trope that people get mad about, this is full of just, oh no, I fell over nothing. He's being chased, or they're all being chased by Harry Warden, and the kids get to the car, except Tom, and Sarah is trying to run back to help Tom, and Axel's just like, no, and throws her in the car. I want to bring that up later, but I'll just say right now that they're shitty for that. Tom runs back into the mine. I will say also Harry Warden throws his pickaxe at one point at the car's windshield, and it goes through the car windshield in 3D.
In 3D, yep.
So Tom is in the mine. The cops show up, and they shoot Harry Warden as Harry Warden's standing over Tom, getting ready to kill him, just splattering blood all over his face. And Harry Warden runs into the mine, bleeding.
Years.
Yeah, I mean, but that moment really fucks Tom up. You can see on his face. I mean, that would. A bunch of kids were killed around you, and a man's blood was splattered onto you when you were moments from being killed. But yes, 10 years later, do you ever just return to your hometown in a trench coat and stand over, kneeling in the dirt, looking over the town?
No.
Well, that's what Tom does. Tom returns because he is going to sell the mine. He owns it because his father owned it, and his father has passed or something.
His father died, yeah.
Is a small mining town, so they kind of depend on that, and that's a plot through the movie that the town is not happy about him coming back. When he comes back, it's revealed that Axel and Sarah are now married.
Uh-huh.
And Irene, his previous girlfriend, she is in a situationship with this trucker who treats her like a whore. That comes up because Tom goes to this motel to stay there. You see her there having sex.
I feel like we skipped over the most important part.
What?
Is that Axel is sleeping with a child.
Yes, so I guess it's not clear if she's a child, but she's clearly a lot younger than the rest of them.
We'll say she's maybe 18. I'll give him 18.
Axel's cheating on Sarah with a girl that works
for Sarah.
Yes, and so Megan is her name. Axel's a shithead,
Yeah.
So shitty about Tom and Sarah. He wants her so much, and he's cheating on her. And they have a kid together, by the way.
And this girl is pregnant.
Yeah, she's super stoked about that.
She announces that she's pregnant and is like, you can leave your wife now.
Yes. So back at the hotel, Irene is sleeping with this guy, and the guy records them having sex, and she is mad about it because she's like, I'm not a hooker, like, what is this? Give me the tape. She goes running after him butt-ass naked into the motel parking lot.
With heels on.
With a gun. She, instead of shooting him with the gun, she throws the gun at him in 3D. And then a killer shows up dressed in full mining gear and kills both Irene and this truck driver. So the screenwriter, Todd Farmer, he plays the role of Frank the trucker, and Farmer's wife, Melanie, is thanked in the credits of this movie for allowing him to get naked. It says, to Melanie, thanks for letting him get naked. So, the cops are on this now. They're trying to figure out who it is. People are like, oh, Harry Warden's back. We never found his body in the mine. Apparently, they never found him after he was shot and ran back into the mine, but
except for two people, Ben and Burke, Ben works for the mine, and Burke is like the old sheriff. They give inklings that they know what happened to Harry, but nobody says anything for quite some time.
Yeah, so because Tom's back in town, Axel, not liking Tom, suspects that it was Tom that did this. The town's already unhappy with Tom for selling the mine.
It's been 10 years, and all of a sudden he shows up and murders are happening. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say that I forgot to mention it, but I have to hit all my points here. When Irene is killed, she hides under this metal bed frame, and she picks it up. It's like a wire bed frame. And the killer is trying to strike her with his pickaxe, and you see her point of view, so you see the pickaxe go through in 3D.
Oh, yeah, in 3D, everyone. Yes. 3D.
Tom tries to go talk to Ben about selling the mine. Ben's a senior mine guy that has been the only guy there that's kind of been nice to him from what we see, at least a little bit. He's also not happy about it, but he's at least been cordial with him. While he's in the mine, there is another attack, and a guy that had punched Tom in a bar a night previous about the whole mining situation and about thinking maybe he's the reason that Harry Warden is back. That guy gets killed by this killer, and Tom is locked inside of a cage. And so, again, Tom's being blamed. Some people are like, but he was locked inside this cage. It couldn't have been him. And Tom is saying, it must be Harry Warden. At this point, Axel, since he's investigating it, again, he's the cop, he reveals that Harry Warden was killed through vigilante justice by Burke and Ben, a couple other guys I think they mention. And
his dad, Tom's dad, right?
Yes. Well, maybe. Apparently that's like a deleted scene, so I don't know if they do make mention of that. I did read about a deleted scene where it shows that Tom's dad was involved in that.
I think he was.
They apparently got Harry Warden, brought him out, killed him, and buried him. So they go to his burial site. He's not there. And so then they're like, oh shit, was he really dead? We don't know.
To be under the ground for 10 years.
Well, apparently they're not sure. Ben is then, kind of jumpy, and he's killed at his home.
I wanted to make a point. The scene where Tom is locked in that cage.
Yeah.
That's the first scene. Spoiler alert, Tom's the killer. Before I say this, that's the first scene where you kind of think that he is the killer, because it does the person in the mining outfit and Tom side by side while he's having that panic attack, and they're mirroring each other's movements.
I did actually make a note of that. Yeah, I put that shot where Tom and the killer are standing face to face. They're both bent over.
Yeah.
Like, he turns very quickly into the gate, and at the same time, the killer does. And they're both just staring at each other, and they both stand up at the same time.
They mirror each other's movements.
That is a really cool shot, I think.
And I feel like that's the first sign that he could be the killer.
Yes. So Sarah and Megan are at the grocery store, and they're then attacked. It's just become this full-blown, chaos around the city, because he's now going around killing several people. And
I called it the Be Mine Forever kill.
Yeah, he kills Megan. Nobody's really sad about it.
And he wrote Be Mine Forever on the concrete behind her dead body with her blood. And that's what the Valentine that she gave Axel said.
Yeah, and at that point, when Axel shows up, Sarah reveals that she already kind of knew that Axel was cheating on her. And she's in the hospital. Axel's searching. Back at Axel and Sarah's house, Burke, the cop, and their nanny are both killed. Sarah ends up getting a call from Tom at the hospital saying that, I think I have evidence that Axel's the killer. Sarah leaves the hospital, goes with Tom. They're driving towards somewhere, and Axel calls Sarah and is like, he's the killer. You have to get out of the car. We found information that he was been in a mental institute for the last 7 years. And she lies. She's like, oh, it was whoever on the phone. Tom starts to get really agitated and making her uncomfortable. She tries to get out of the car. He won't stop, so she grabs the wheel and just jerks it into the road. They crash. She escapes, and from there she runs to Axel's family's old cabin in the woods, where he was also sleeping with Megan.
And she sees evidence that confirms that Axel and Megan were sleeping together.
But also she finds a bunch of empty chocolate boxes that the killer has been using to fill with hearts. So then she starts to think maybe Axel is the killer.
Yeah, and that's where Tom was bringing her to show her.
Yes. Tom, Sarah, and Axel all end up back in the mine, and it's a standoff, where Sarah has a gun. Tom is like, Axel's the killer. Axel's saying Tom's the killer. She doesn't know who to trust. Obviously, she's not really feeling Axel right now. There is evidence for that, but there's also evidence for Tom. And then a moment comes where Tom thinks he sees Harry Warden coming behind Sarah, and he starts having a panic attack, and he's like, turn around, shoot him. And then you see that they're witnessing that he's seeing this other person. So he's got a split personality and is having these delusions that Harry Warden's a real person. And it shows you flashbacks of everything throughout the movie showing that it's been him. So it's just funny to me that he's just there's a scene where he's running around in the forest thinking he's being chased by Harry Warden. The perspective of anyone else watching that is just a psychotic man alone running in the forest.
Yeah, exactly.
Screaming.
So a fight ensues, basically, and Axel and Tom are fighting. Axel ends up getting stabbed, and I just want to say the whole time Axel's there, losing, Sarah still has the gun aiming at the two of them, and she's just watching as Tom murders her husband, and that's her version of payback.
I think she was just still unsure. Also, when
Tom says something, and she's like, I didn't tell you that.
Yes, he says the Megan... No, it's in that scene. He says that Megan was killed, and nobody told him that Megan was killed. But, I don't know. He's trying to kill them at that point. I wanted to say, I thought it was funny when he thinks he sees Harry Warden. It's like a classic. He's caught, and then he's like, but look over there.
Yeah.
And nobody looks. But anyway, he starts approaching them at one point in the mine, and he has the pickaxe, and he's breaking lights. And when he's walking towards them and breaking the light, every time he breaks a light, it flashes, and he's in the full mining gear.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Obviously, that's, just in his head, I guess, but it was, again, another really good shot. But a bullet is shot through Tom into an oxygen tank in 3D, and it explodes. There's a bunch of debris in 3D. Sarah and Axel escape. Tom is left for dead, rescuers show up to clear the mine. Tom wakes up. He kills the rescuer with a pickaxe in 3D.
It escapes wearing the guy's outfit.
Yes.
Insane.
Before I do my last two pieces of trivia that go into the ending there, I missed a few things. The cop, Burke's jaw, was ripped off in 3D. When Sarah crashes the car, there's a tree branch that goes through the windshield in 3D. When Tom is in the bar and he gets into a fight, the person that tries to punch him and misses punches some glass in 3D.
Okay, anything else?
That's actually all the 3D that I have.
Great, let's hear this trivia.
So, the film was made into a haunted house at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
I like that.
And this is the first R-rated film in the USA that was projected in Real D technology.
Well, that's cool.
So there's a reason that they went so hard with the 3D.
3D, yeah.
The budget for this movie was $14 million. It walked away with $100.7 million in the box office.
That's insane to me. Absolutely insane.
Which is pretty crazy considering the first movie is not well liked. So it's not like people were like, oh, my favorite movie's being remade.
We were talking about this on Amazon. After we watched the movie, I'll go ahead. I gave this movie a 2 out of 5.
I wasn't done.
Fine.
On its 4-day opening weekend, the film grossed $24.1 million, ranking in number 3 for the weekend behind Gran Torino at number 2 and Paul Blart Mall Cop at number 1.
Paul Blart out-earned Gran Torino? That's such a good movie.
Look, I don't know what weekend Gran Torino was in. To be fair, that could have been the...
That is so funny, though. That is so funny.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, we were talking about this, and I told you on Amazon, I was like, this movie got 4.5 out of 5 stars on Amazon reviews. I gave it a 2 out of 5. I didn't think it was that good. Axel's annoying. I think that parts of the movie are good. I think, having him have a split personality and think that it's Harry Warden, but he actually became the mind killer after Harry Warden. He dug up Harry Warden's old mask and axe. I think things like that were cool, but I think that the rest of the story didn't really make sense and they just needed a reason to kill everyone. I don't know.
I also gave it a 2 out of 5. I said it several times during the movie. This is One Tree Hill if it was a horror movie.
He's never seen One Tree Hill, everyone.
It doesn't matter. I know it.
You don't.
This
you know what?
Seventh Heaven if it was
like
a horror.
It's like the Family Guy episode of Riverdale.
Every piece of drama in this movie is stupid. I can't tell you how much I couldn't stand hearing Sarah. Sarah says at one point in the movie to Megan about how she ended up with Axel instead of Tom. Besides the fact that Tom had left and nobody knew where he was, well, Axel was just really there for me that night. Axel dragged you away from your boyfriend, would not let you help him, and threw you into the car. He was not there for you. He allowed another man to die. You should have went to the cops, is what you should have done, first of all. Second of all, she says to Tom at one point when they first reunite, "Where were you? Where did you go? Where did you go?" He was being chased by a killer, and you dipped.
Yeah.
You are a bad person. And just because the love of your life, supposed love of your life, isn't there, you don't have to fuck his friend or your friend. Yeah. You can just find someone else. You can be single.
Well, she told that Megan girl that he was there for her for the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's horseshit. I hate that.
Because that Megan girl was trying to get, is he going to leave you?
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah.
I hate all of these characters. I don't care about anyone that dies. I do think there are some interesting looking kills. I think some of it doesn't hold up well because it was shot for 3D, but I still think a pickaxe is a more unique killing tool than just a knife or a gun or whatever. And like I said, I think both the scene of him mirroring Harry Warden's movements in the cage
he mirrors him another time too, and
the breaking of the light bulbs, both of those scenes to me were really well done, and that, if anything, gave it some points. But otherwise this movie stinks.
It does. It's a big stinker.
It's a big egg. I have movie reviews for you here, and you just tell me whether it's My Bloody Valentine or not.
Do you even know the movies that these reviews are from?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to guess.
Number 1, Axel wants to be Dewey so bad you'll never be him.
That is definitely true.
True what?
It's this movie.
Okay.
Axel wants to be Dewey. He does want to be Dewey from Scream.
This movie was the first time I ever saw boobs.
Ooh, it could be because she does do full nudity. We'll say yes.
It is.
Okay.
Number 3. So this is why I simply don't have sex. 1 second you're just laying down the pipe, and all of a sudden the big boy come in and try and stab you because he's jealous of you and you're rockin' hog. I don't need that pressure in my life. Porking is a young man's game. I got bills to pay.
Okay, that's not this movie, but I'm trying to think of what movie it would be.
I mean, I could tell you.
Land on the Pipe. Jason.
It is Friday the
13th. Yes. Yeah. Hey, was it like the new one? Like
no.
The newer...
It was the original.
Oh, okay.
A very violent Scooby-Doo episode.
I feel like it could be... No,
that's from Halloween. The dedication to hating is admirable.
But people don't hate this movie.
No. In the movie.
Oh, the dedication to hating. No.
It is. But it's from the original, My Bloody Valentine.
Oh, okay, so it's not this one.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, 5 for 5, baby. 5 for 5, baby.
In March 2020, in an interview with Bloody Disgusting, the writer Todd Farmer revealed that a script had been pitched for a sequel 2 weeks ahead of the film's release. After the film received mixed reviews from critics, Lionsgate lost interest. The sequel would have been more psychological and would have brought back survivors from the remake, as well as expanded upon its backstory. But obviously they never made anything.
There's no backstory really needed. We got it all.
Well, I'd mentioned to you that they don't talk about it in this movie, but in the original, Harry Warden is in the mine and becomes a cannibal, and that's what makes him crazy. In this movie, they're just like, and then he just started killing people with a pickaxe.
He just decided, I'm done.
Like, for no reason. They don't, which granted, to be fair, there is paper in the beginning. There's newspaper that's showing everything. I didn't pause and read all the little lines in the newspaper. But if you're seeing this in a theater, you wouldn't be able to do that. So I think if you want that to be part of it, then you need to make that mentioned. They had plenty of time to mention that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your sequel?
It's called My Bloody Valentine. Next Valentine. Direct sequel to the first. It starts a few months after the first one with a new face, but you hear Sarah talking. As this story is told, there is a flashback and you're reminded that Tom walked away from the incident, but nobody knows where he could be. They just know a body was never found. It turns out Sarah is talking to a new therapist about these incidents in an attempt to help her move past it. The entire movie will be her telling a story to the therapist with flashes of the new, events that are going to be happening. Almost like a Sopranos vibe, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
His therapy sessions?
Yeah, you're going to be talking to a therapist, but as she's telling the therapist the story, it'll flash to, what's happening.
Yeah.
Anyways, her and Axel have mended their relationship for the most part, and he is still the police chief. There is discussion to open the mine again to bring in tourism as well as business.
That's sick. They're going to open the mine and be like, come see where Harry Warden did the kills.
Could be like a haunted house.
They would absolutely do that. Don't get me wrong, but it's fucked.
Yeah, it's coming up on the next Valentine's Day, and everyone's very nervous about what's going to happen. On midnight, the day of, a dead body is found at the opening of the mine. They're thinking about opening again under a new name. This sends the town into a panic of everyone thinking Tom can be back. Axel is back on the case, and Sarah's worried for him. They immediately send their kid to a distant relative, and Axel tries to get Sarah to leave, but she won't. I just didn't really want a kid in the movie. He didn't need to be there. Just go.
Yeah, he didn't need to be there the first time.
Yeah.
I barely mentioned him.
Yeah, so there's that. More bodies pile up, and surprise, they figure out that it's Tom, but this time he has help from someone. During one of the therapy sessions, the therapist says something, and Sarah realizes that the therapist is who has been helping Tom the whole time, and Sarah narrowly escapes. Axel and Sarah are having yet again another face-off with Tom. Axel is near death, and this is when Tom reveals how he survived, and his therapist is actually his lover from when he was institutionalized. But now Tom remains adamant in his love for Sarah and kills the therapist. So his lover kills her because he wants to be with Sarah. Sarah is then hiding and pretends to be in love with Tom to try and save both herself and Axel. She gives him a Valentine. He falls for it and she kills him. Insert aftermath scene. You know, the typical horror aftermath. The end.
Might I recommend that his therapist or her therapist is played by Jensen Ackles' co-star in Supernatural? People would love it.
Sure.
Okay.
Hell yeah. I don't care who it is.
Nice. There's a similar part in there to mine.
Always is. Wait, can I guess what yours is gonna do?
Why? You read my stuff while we're sitting here.
I pinky promise I didn't read it.
Okay, guess.
It's not really a guess. You're definitely gonna kill Axel because I wanted to kill him and then I chose, was like,
oh yeah, definitely. My Bloody Valentine 4D.
Oh boy, breaking the fourth wall.
No. If you don't know, there are theaters out there that are 4D theaters that they can spray smells into the air, they can spray water, they can shake your chair, they can play like different sounds in your chair. It's a whole thing. I've never been to one, but they exist. So, it opens with a scene of Tom right after escaping, and he's arguing with himself, clearly disturbed. The theater chairs shake.
Ooh.
See, I'm adding in the 4D effects.
Okay.
Tom believes he is talking with Harry Warden and has made a deal with him that as long as Sarah is safe, he will allow him to do what he wants. Sarah has been rebuilding her life away from Axel and taking care of her store since the incident. Meanwhile, Axel has been searching for Tom's body in the mine for the past 2 weeks with the police department, but no leads. When they're in the mines, the theater will release a musty scent, fog, and mist.
Oh, musty? That doesn't go well with popcorn.
I mean, look, it is what it is. If you're signing up for a 4D movie, you know what you're in for. The killings begin again with nobody in town seemingly safe, and with every kill, the theater will release an iron scent and mist for the blood.
Okay.
Axel's in a panic and the town starts evacuating, unsure of what else to do. Axel goes by himself into the mine to search for Tom again and finds decaying bodies showing that Tom has been surviving in the mines as a cannibal.
Okay.
Axel is horrified, and in his shock, he is too distracted to see Tom come from behind and murder him.
Ooh.
With the town nearly empty and Axel dead, Tom goes to see Sarah in the store and explains to her how they can be together now. Sarah begs Tom to see what he's done, and this frustrates Tom, so he kidnaps Sarah. Sarah wakes up in the mines with Tom as he tries again to explain to her how they have a bright future together. Sarah looks around what remains of the partially collapsed mine and spots some old school dynamite and hatches a plan. Sarah starts acting as if she believes Tom and wants to stay with him, but once she is set free, she starts placing dynamite around key points in the mine to collapse the entire thing for good. Once Tom realizes what she's done, he attempts to attack her, striking her in the leg with his pickaxe, but it's too late. Sarah blows the dynamite and flees. Tom is about to run after her when he sees the wound in her leg and realizes what he's done. He sits still in the collapsing mine, accepting his fate for what he's done. And as the mine's exploding, the chairs would raise the temperature and do a smoke smell.
Oh, okay. So it is the same, like Sarah kills him.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
But also Axel's dead and Sarah and Axel weren't together. Did you like the 4D?
I did. Lots of smoke and must.
Yeah, it's going to smell in there. Crazy. Thank you so much for listening. We do so appreciate it. If you want to talk movies with us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky. We are NansPod everywhere.
NansPod?
If you'd like to vote on whose sequel... I don't mess up. Whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or let us know your idea across our socials. You can also reach us at needlesssequel@gmail.com. Links, as always, will be wherever you are listening. If I could ask you for one thing, it's to share a show with someone and leave us a review. That is how we get new listeners. Of course, I also ask that you come back for more Needless Sequels. Next week, we are watching iRobot on Hulu. And today, I want to close with this iconic line from the Iron Giant. You are who you choose to be. Take care of yourselves, everyone. We will see you next week.
Bye!